in the fitness industry and it's actually more beneficial for me to hop on things for my future and my financials.
What's up guys, Derek, moreplates.com. Today we are going to be reacting to Jesse James West, Natty or Not, the ugly truth plus side effects. So obviously you see the thumbnail circling his nip as well as into his pants. So presumably he's going to be talking about side effects with gear, despite the fact that he claims natural. So I don't know if he's going to bring in a PED expert or what the deal is, but I'm going to react and I'll jump around to the parts. Like I'll edit out the middle parts and I'll just go to the saucy bits and then give my reaction to it and my 2 cents on if it's what I think to be accurate information.
Literally nothing is working. I'm doing it. I guess this is the only way to gain muscle nowadays, huh? Cheers to the dark side. Wrong blue pill. Oh boy.
What's funny is how many guys here probably actually take sildenafil or tadalafil as their pre-workout? Probably a lot. So a lot of people wouldn't be like, oh shit, like it's not like your dick fucking explodes out of your pants immediately after taking it. In fact, you will probably not get a boner the whole workout if you are actually focused on doing your weights. So contrary to popular belief, you actually need to be aroused for the shit to work. Your dick doesn't just fucking rocket out of your pants like is being implied here. But anyways, let's see.
Am I natural? And to answer that question, it's so simple. Yes, I am natural. I'm 100% natural, and I will plan to stay natural for a while. And why is that? If I'm in the fitness industry and it's actually more beneficial for me to hop on things for my future and my financials? Well, that's simply just because I like being natural. I like the challenge. I think doing it the harder way is better, and I want to focus on staying healthier for long term. I don't want any side effects, and also I want to show you guys that you can achieve an amazing body by being natural. The reason I'm
so he's not wrong. You can definitely, like, as far as girls are concerned, like the body you can achieve naturally, unless you have like subpar genetics, you can achieve like the ideal body for women, like pretty like reasonable. It's not easy, but I mean like it's like doable with natural, you know, levels. Like realistically, they want an athletic, lean looking guy. They don't really care if you're 210 plus shredded, to be honest. Obviously having some muscle, not being a fucking twig, helps, but I mean like there's a pretty quick diminishing returns rate on muscle growth relative to female attention versus just positive male attention in this industry.
I'm telling you that it's better for my future and financials because I
don't even know why I said it like that. Like realistically, he's talking about the fitness industry, but it's like, yeah, as far as money too, and health and whatnot, like yeah, there's it definitely is going to help you to sell shit if you look better. Like there's only so many things you can do to set yourself apart. Good personality, be smart, have good information, look fucking sick. You know, if you're like hyper elite in any of those, you can probably make a very good living in I guess like social media in general, frankly. It doesn't even need to be the fitness industry, but for him, like he's obviously like a good hybrid. So like for him, you know, he can get away with not having the most, like he has a fucking elite physique. Let's be honest. Like this guy's natural and he looks better 99.9%. He looks better than 95% of people on gear anyway. So, but a lot of that comes down to genetic muscle insertion, staying lean all the time, meticulously counting calories, you know, overall just good, you know, genetics essentially. But yeah, he definitely would garner a bigger presence online the more ridiculous your physique is, up until a point, because you'll notice a lot of open like top IFBB pros, they don't get any views on their videos. And the reason is because despite them working so hard at one area and having the nuttiest physique on the internet, they have zero personality and they have zero information. They just think that because they look like a fucking truck that they can show up and lift and do absolutely nothing interesting and sleep and play video games, and everyone's gonna want to like bow down and suck their dicks on their, you know, videos. And it's just not the case, you know. And maybe they don't all think like that, by the way, but I mean, like, either their aspirations are to actually win shows and they don't care as much about the social media aspect, or they just don't really conceive that personality plays a big part in it, as well as knowledge. And it's not just like, oh, I have sick genetics, but I don't have anything on this side. I'm just very one-dimensional. It's going to limit you. So what he's saying is, totally correct. But at the end of the day too, there are tons of guys with way better physiques than him that are going to earn way less than him because he has all these other boxes checked off.
I can sell more if I look better. It's just the truth. If I'm leaner, more vascular, and I just look elite, I know for a fact I'd be able to sell more plans, sell more product, because I'm just gonna get bigger on the internet. But I just am not a believer in doing anything on my end. Now, that doesn't mean that it makes you a bad person or a good person. It's up to you if you wanna take things or whether you wanna have the side effects. Respect to all the bodybuilders out there that are on things. I just think unless I'm competing at a high level, I don't really have a need to be on anything.
Yeah, like for him, he really doesn't, He obviously has seen he's able to grow his following incredibly quickly, build a very loyal fan base, blah, 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 has a great physique. He doesn't need the shit, He's already good to go, so what's the point?
Plus, what am I gonna tell the single moms when they ask me if I'm natty? I mean, clearly my calves are too small to be not natty.
That happens all the time, The chick goes out with you, so are you natural? You have to fucking, figure out if you're gonna out yourself in front of her or not. Happens all the fucking time.
I don't know how the hell that has to do with anything. If you guys are trying to get leaner, make sure you're getting your 10,000 steps in. It's so important. While being a natural, it can be a little bit harder to stay lean all year round. So that's one thing that I have to constantly be doing is moving, burning calories, and getting a lot done. When you're not natural, it's a little bit easier to stay shredded all year round. But when you are natural, it makes it a little bit tough. So let's finish this walk and keep the day rolling.
So yeah, staying lean, obviously a lot of it is genetic as well as, a lot of it is just meticulous diet practices too, to be honest, mostly, and how much muscle is on your frame. So yeah, if you're on anabolics, you have more ability to expend energy at baseline doing absolutely nothing. So literally sitting here, fucking talking to you, you expend more energy as a guy who has more contractile tissue to support with energy than a guy who has less. So expectedly, if you're expending more energy on a daily basis with more muscle, it's like the most energy intensive form of tissue. Like if you're a fat fuck, you're not going to expend as many calories as a guy who has the same amount of weight, but in muscle mass, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, the best way to get leaner in the long term, if you want to make it a sustainable approach, is to try and gain as much muscle as possible. Because at the end of the day, when you actually start dieting, you have a better, baseline of tissue on your body that is actually blowing through calories at the end of the day. So yeah, that's what he's saying is absolutely on point. Here he's basically going for a walk.
Body, because I'm depleting myself of calories, I will feel a little bit more draggy, a little more tired. But before and after, before a pump with bad lighting and with pump with good lighting.
That's the classic Matt Does Fitness.
Social media is all about lighting, angles, getting a pump, being sweaty. It can be really and if they do, oh my god. It can be really it can be because if they are looking extra shredded all year round, either they're a magician with the lighting and the angles, or they might be on some juice, my friends. Let's see how juicy I can look. First shoulder exercise.
Yeah, so obviously I completely agree with that. The lighting thing, the getting a pump in, fucking nairing and shaving, so you have the amount of difference in your vascularity you have even just from fucking manscaping. It's like night and day. There's a lot of shit you can do to make yourself look more jacked. But anyway, where's the bits about the sauce? Like side effects, what the fuck? Let me find it here.
Pump and being wet. Wet is always good. The clip playing right now is of me without a pump and very poor lighting. Obviously not glistening or anything, I'm not sweaty, I look okay. 10 minutes later, I get a shoulder pump, and this is how people can look unnatural when they are natural.
You're only gonna look unnatural when you're natural if you have a good physique though. A lot of this, 99% of people, this does not apply for. Anyways, where is the side effects, dude? Let's see.
More of abs right now. We're gonna be doing V-ups, dead bugs.
Maybe he's just talking about the part at the beginning where he said he doesn't want side effects. Maybe that was it, I don't know. Let me dig through the rest of this here.
Working out heavily differently. Some people are gonna recover really fast. Some people are gonna have a lot harder of a time. Luckily, someone like myself, I'm able to recover very fast. And that's kind of why I think people think that I'm on gear. It's just because I'm constantly working really hard every single day. I train multiple times a day all throughout high school and college. And now I'm at the point where I think my body can tolerate a lot of training. But
I think it's more so your muscle insertions that just look very good for your weight. Like it's not like you weigh a shit ton. You have a reasonable amount of muscle tissue that is believable to be natural, but it's more like your six-pack ab insertions, your chest, your arms, the whole overall, you know, flow of the physique is one that you would assume to be unnatural based on just how like aesthetic it looks and how there's muscle while with simultaneous leanness. However, when you actually look at the body weight, it's not like it's excessive or like out of control where it's like totally unbelievable. So, you know, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of these guys on gear are just guys with bad genetics who blow up a shitty physique and then have their bad insertions get bigger versus this guy. He has good insertions, so him at like 180 shredded or whatever it is going to look like better than a guy who's 210 shredded with shitty insertions, who could look way smaller, even though on a measuring tape, all of his measurements are better than this guy. You know what I mean? It's like Flex Wheeler, when he stood on stage, wasn't he like, he was like 225 or 230 or something, but he would stand beside fucking Coleman on the Mr. Olympia stage and literally be at least like, I don't know, comparable enough to have it not be a complete devastation. Like the guy, you know, would come second in the Mr. Olympia contest and beat out guys who were had 50 pounds more muscle than him. And it all came down to the way his physique flowed and his muscle insertion. So a lot of this with a lot of these, the guys who actually are natural, who look unbelievably, you know, jacked for what they are and what they're not taking, it's more just like good genetics in that they actually can look aesthetically pleasing and muscular, and they diet to stay lean year round, but they're not actually that big. If you actually measure this guy's measurements on a measuring tape, it's not like they'd be excessive to the point where you couldn't find tons of guys on Juice who are bigger than him. But when they're side by side, even though his arm might be 16 inches or whatever, 16 and a half inches, the guy with 19-inch arms that has like the shittiest, flattest, wackest ab insertions, the shittiest chest, the shittiest arms, the shittiest back, the shittiest everything is going to look smaller. You know what I mean? And like, I know this firsthand, dude. Like, I have certain genetic lagging points. I have certain genetic strong points, and there's different ways you can make your physique look much worse or much better. And for him, he just has a lack of those weak points, you know? And that's why his overall physique flows the way it does and why he looks unnatural to so many people, despite the fact that his body weight is like pretty believably natural, to be honest.
But not everyone can do that. So if you're comparing yourself to someone, make sure you keep that in mind, that genetics play a huge role in a lot more than just recovery. Also with the shape of your muscle, how well you can gain muscle, and so much more. And that's why some people are accused of being on PEDs when they're not. So I'm gonna sit back, enjoy this, because I got more to tell you, my friends. If you feel that you don't have the best genetics, don't be discouraged. You seriously can still make so much progress. Genetics aren't going to determine how well you can transform your body. It's going to be consistency, time, and effort. And I promise you, if you put all that together, you will see a lot of results. Don't fall into the excuse of saying, I have bad genetics.
Okay, so yeah, like I agree, you should try and max out what you have. You have to keep in mind though too, like when people see this guy, he's the pinnacle of his age bracket on YouTube right now. He's like 20 years old or something, has an insane physique, he's natural. How many guys on YouTube are 20 years old natural who look like this? None, dude. Like I can't think of like almost any. Well, actually I can think of some, but they're very few and far between. So like for him, he's at the 0.00001% of genetics. Like guys who were actually on social media are going to be guys who went to social media because they thought they could do well with it based on their physique and their genetics probably. So like this is representing, you know, he's encouraging you to max out yourself, which I would also encourage you to do too. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that when you were comparing this guy to other people too, this is like the cream of the crop. You know what I mean? It's not like this is just some random fucking guy who happened to like try one day and like go on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like he actually had a good physique like for years. You know, it's not like he just like transformed into this one day. Like he was genetically predetermined to be able to build a certain amount of muscle and, you know, have a certain shape to his physique that no one else can emulate. You know what I mean? Like you might have a better physique, you might have worse, but the probability is like 99% that you're going to be worse than this guy, unfortunately. But it does not mean that you shouldn't fucking try. And this is why you have a lot of guys who end up on gear, because they see guys like this and they're like, fuck, like, how could he have achieved that without getting on the Sazul like I had to? And it's like, well, he can get away with looking better at a lower body weight and like overall muscle mass. And he just has better genetics in general. You know, if this guy hopped on gear, like he'd probably look fucking stupid, you know? So not stupid in a bad way, but anyways, yeah, like I am totally on board with the encouraging people to max themselves out, because at the end of the day, what are you gonna do? If you have shitty genetics, you just give up and accept that you have a bad physique? No, you do the best you can with your physique and you try to work on what you can. Like, you know, like for me, I have a lot of genetic lagging parts, but it's not like I just let myself turn into a fat fucking piece of shit and do absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? You do what you are given and you work with, and then you fucking, that's it. You know, you're content with it or you're not, but you deal with what you're given and you make the best of the situation. And you can still be, you know, very, very pleased as you make progress. It's not like you have to be a genetic fucking specimen to, you know, enjoy life.
That might be the last thing that I want to talk to you about being natural or enhanced. I think it would make a lot more sense if I was sitting on my bed. Now, I've heard a lot of stories of people being enhanced and having issues with, well, let's just say their Jimmy, their Johnson, with their sex drive. And while being a natural lifter and being very lean, there can be some side effects to that as well. Your sex drive is not as high as if you weren't very lean. Now, this isn't just for being 15% body fat. This is for being like sub 8% body fat and show ready, especially if you're a natural lifter. And then if you're an enhanced lifter, there can be some side effects. If you don't do it correctly, there are a lot of side effects besides your sex drive. There could be hair loss, there could be acne, there could be so many different things. And that's why if you do choose to be enhanced, you need to be very, very careful, get your blood work done. And trust me, my friends, do your research. Don't just hop on things because you know people are taking them and it works.
Hey, he's definitely correct on that, because, you know, how many, including myself, how many people do you know who fucking hopped on shit? Well, I did a decent amount of research first, but I wish I knew the shit I knew now back when I started, because it would have avoided a myriad of different problems. And that was even after like a couple years of researching. So like that, I was a fucking idiot compared to what I am now. And that was even after a couple of years of researching. Like if I could go back and tell that Derek to hold the fuck on and basically hold like a master class for him and fucking teach him a bunch of shit, like that would have been, you know, like most people who start, I don't think are actually ready. You know, most people don't even understand diet and training principles properly, and they think they do before they get on. And then, you know, they're literally trying to play chemist on themselves before even understanding like base knowledge about, like they don't even have a fucking like post-cycle therapy planned after, and they're already fucking, you know, hopped on like a D-ball only cycle, you know? They have no idea what to expect or what goes into it. They just know that other guys in the industry are on gear and that they should be on gear too to get the sponsorships and to get the blah, 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 and this and that. And it's like, no, dude, like, regardless if there's peer pressures, like, especially your longevity in the sport is going to be determined by how much research you do on this shit. So definitely, even if it takes you another couple of years to learn thoroughly, make sure you do, because that'll extend your ability to even make use of this shit multiple more years than if you abused it in the beginning and didn't know what you were doing, made subpar progress, had deleterious outcomes to your health that then prevented you from having longevity in the industry, which you could have otherwise had with better results and better health for a longer period of time if you just fucking waited another year or two and did a bit of digging.
With all that said, that is why I choose to stay natural, and probably why I'll be natural for the remainder of my lifting career. I appreciate you guys watching this far in this video.
Yeah, like for him, you know, if you're successful and you're natural and, you know, you already look good, I can definitely see the temptation. Like it's always going to be, you know, the next guy is fucking bigger, you know, the next social media star is looks better or does this better or whatever. But at the end of the day, you just kind of like stay in your lane. If you aren't comfortable with something or you don't understand something or you just don't agree with it, like whatever it is, like stay in your fucking lane, you know, like do what is best for you and don't get peer pressured into some bullshit just because the next guy is on gear and he's like, you know, blowing up with followers or whatever. Because at the end of the day, your longevity in the sport is going to be longer than him probably if you actually research this shit properly first. If you're even going to use this shit. And think long and hard if you're going to be using this shit. Because it's like, it's not something to just jump into. Like I said, you got to understand it and not just go off of like random anecdotes from guys in the industry who say to do shit that is just nonsensical, even though they may come across, maybe they're genetically blessed as fuck and they, you assume they know what they're talking about when in fact they are totally oblivious to health management or proper protocols or anything of this nature. And this is very common. Guys who look absolutely insane, and I've come to learn that their protocols are absolutely ridiculous. Like guys who you would think, well, this guy obviously represents the top tier of knowledge because he is one of the top influencers in the industry and gives out advice. So obviously whatever works for him is going to work for the next guy. And it's like, you find out that the guy's just a hyper responder to fucking anything. You could literally like eat dirt and fucking grow. Like that's what some of these guys are like, and their health stays immaculate even when they're fucking pinning trend, popping A-bombs, like whatever it is. You're not necessarily going to be that guy. So fucking research the shit. And I don't know what I was expecting. I thought maybe there was gonna be like a PED expert or something on here, but good video nonetheless, explaining his natty status and why he doesn't want to take gear. And that's totally fine and respectable. And frankly, you know, most people, if they look like this, they might not want to do gear either. You know, like if you're successful without doing it, like your career should not be contingent upon if you decide to inject yourself with shit or not. You should have other things that are going for you, like your personality or your knowledge or your whatever, or a good product or whatever the fuck it is that is your calling, and lean into those, dude. You don't have to be the next fucking Mike O'Hearn. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplates.com. Follow me on Instagram at moreplates_moredates. Facebook, Snapchat, BitChute, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. Talk to you guys soon.